let's talk about solid front axles. Now, the Ram 2500 and the Ford Super Duty, just want to make sure it's Ford Super Duty. Yeah, it is. Okay. Has a solid front axle, and a traditional setup for that usually has this, let's take a look, has this type of spring setup and then a shock in the front. On the Chevys, I wish my dad's GM was in here, I would show you, but it has a wishbone, and there's no wishbone here, you know, and it kind of, usually it has a spring too. On the HDs, they just put a shock on the Chevy and, you know, GM HDs, which is kind of interesting. But on the half ton, they put a shock in the actual spring, but that's besides the point. Point is, we're talking about solid front axles, and there it is right there. See if I can get under it. You can see it's a little bit different independent front suspension, and traditionally these are more durable than your typical independent front suspension because they can handle higher stress loads, and you know, semi trucks have used them for years. But the differences between semi truck and a Super Duty is, you know, the semi truck actually uses front leaf springs, which is kind of interesting. But you know, and I think the Super Duty, of what I've read, used to have front leaf springs in the early 2000s. So, and they switched to that probably just because it was for some probably design reason. But you know, they're just a little bit more durable, and they definitely feel different. You know, when you turn this thing, you definitely feel the weight of it, you know, and it's definitely different than your typical smooth, you know, truck or, you know, steering feel with an electric power steering. This has hydraulic power steering, which is a lot different, and I personally like it because I think it just feels really mechanical and organic. So yeah.